Okay, let's start to understand control flows, and we will first start by if control flow. Here in the onCreate function, let's start by here, much more visible. Okay, let's create a val, call it my number, and let's put it to, I want it to be an integer, for example, 7. Okay. Now I want to say if 7 is positive or negative. I will create a function here. Let's make here, okay. I will create a function, call it, for example, is positive, okay. Inside I will pass my parameter and let's call it number, and it will be of type int. And this time I want this function to tell me if it is positive or negative. So it will be of type, this time, Boolean. And by Boolean, we mean the result of this function will be either true or false, because Boolean can have just two values, true or false. And for creating a Boolean variable, you can say just, for example, var b is of type b uppercase Boolean. Okay, like this. It could be true or it could be false, like this. Okay, let's just comment this. And here, so we want a function, call it is positive. For Boolean, the functions that return Boolean, we will use is positive, is okay, okay. And number int as parameter, Boolean as the return type. And let's say if with opening and closing rounded braces, number is bigger than 0, let's return true. Okay. Else, which means if it is not bigger than 0, which means it will be lower than 0. Let's return false. And now let's go back to our val my number and say if I can call the is positive function either inside the if control flow and say is positive with this number, which is 7, is true. Or I can just say if is positive, which means that inside the if, inside the rounded braces, if this is positive, is true. Let's, for example, say, let's print this time, for example, let's call the tag my second function with the message it is positive. And let's run this. Okay, so let's see what we have done. I create a val, call it my number, and put my integer number inside of it. Okay, and then I create a function is positive. My function will give or will receive the number and return the function result by Boolean, which we said by Boolean we mean it can be just true or false. If the number is bigger than 0, it will prove true, which means it will be positive. and else it will be false. And here we say that if the isPositive function with this parameter return a true, this means that this if function will be true. And let's print this log. So the tag is this. Let's open the logcat, paste this, and yes, the if condition was happen and the it is positive message has been printed for us. And even for making these two lines just into one line, we can even just not define this my number variable or val and put our number inside it. For example, 9 or -1. Let's see if -1 is positive or not. This should happen that -1 is not positive, and it will be in else and should return false for us. And if it returns false for us, it means that the isPositive inside the if controller won't be true. So this condition won't happen. And the logd function, this message should not be printed. Here you can see that the isPositive message has not been printed for when the number is -1.